What's up guys, it's the Normies and we're back with another video essay. You guys seem to be enjoying these and they're really fun for us to make, so let's get into another one. Why Velma failed. Velma should have been a success. You have Mindy Kaling leading the vision, Charlie Grandy writing the script, and Amy Winfrey, who directed 21 episodes of BoJack Horseman, including Free Churro, as the supervising producer. Of course, there's tons more people that worked on this show, but I don't have the time or patience to get into every single person's involvement. The bigger point is, this show is packed with some incredible talent. This should have been a recipe for sure success, and yet it's sitting at a cool 1.4 out of 10 on IMDb. So what went wrong? As of now, the person receiving the most hate for this show's existence is Mindy Kaling. But it takes a village to raise a monstrosity like Velma. I mean, come on Amy, you were supposed to be supervising this shit. Where were you? I think most of the backlash is focused on Mindy because she's arguably the most recognizable name and producer from this show's lineup. She's also the one who sort of came up with the idea.
Mindy sort of came and asked if I would want to work on this. Yeah. She knew I liked animation and said, hey, would you consider doing an origin story for Velma?
But her involvement with the script supposedly ends there because Charlie Grandy is credited for having written all 10 episodes, and Mindy really wants you to know it.
Much of the credit is Charlie. You know, Charlie was the person, Charlie and his storytelling and with our writers.
I find it really hard to believe that Mindy had absolutely nothing to do with the writing. The brand of humor in this show has Mindy's DNA all over it. But to be fair, Charlie and Mindy worked as writers on The Office together, so I'm sure they've had a lot of influence on each other over the years. I sat down to watch Velma with an open mind. Could it really be as bad as the internet is making it out to be? Yes, it is that bad. But here's the thing, I think this show has the capacity to be good. Ultimately, this show failed to make me laugh. I couldn't even manage a slight exhale through my nose. Not even the strongest strain of Coachella-grade weed could make this show remotely entertaining. But again, I think it has the capacity to be funny, it just horrifically missed the mark. Some jokes would happen and I would think to myself, you know, if this joke was in a different show, I might have laughed. So why am I not laughing now? I think the failure of Velma lies in its technical execution. The comedic timing is just off. Most jokes just fall so incredibly flat, the setups have no room to breathe, and the punchlines lack the oomph they're so desperately trying to have. Watching this show feels like drinking room temperature soda that's lost its carbonation. Sure, it's still digestible, but at what cost? And at least 50% of the scripted jokes are just statements that go a little something like, you know, if this was a show, then this trope would happen right now. Get it, audience? Because this is a show, but we're talking about it like it isn't. But we both know that it is, and that's called self-awareness. Isn't that funny? No, Charlie, it isn't. If there was one joke with that premise in this entire show, it might have landed. But literally every few minutes, someone starts a joke with, if this was a show.
You ever noticed how pilot episodes of TV shows always have more gratuitous sex and nudity than the rest of the series?
The jokes don't feel like jokes, they just feel like statements. I just find it so hard to believe this script made it through all the production checkpoints without anyone saying, is this the best we can do? Watching behind the scenes interviews for this show is really interesting. As I watch Mindy and Charlie attempt to hype up this show, I am filled with the same dread as when Amelia Clark attempted to hype up season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Best season ever!
The imminent failure is palpable. Velma was in production for 4 years, and after almost half a decade, you get the sense that Charlie was really sick of working on it. This does not feel like the work of an Emmy Award-winning writer, but rather the vague and desperate screeching of a toddler attempting to say something profound.
Have you ever had a dream that you had?
Or maybe the truth is that this brand of humor is just dated and tired. Except that isn't true at all, because Mindy and Charlie wrote for The Office, which is 18 years old. We're reacting to The Office on the channel right now, and we are in stitches every single episode. No. The real truth is that Charlie and Mindy phoned in this script, and it is painfully obvious. Worse than the writing in the show are its characters. I know this is supposed to be a mature retelling of Scooby-Doo, and that's totally fine. This isn't the first franchise to take a childhood show and turn it into something more edgy. But where Velma fails its audience is its inability to retain the essence of these characters. You want to make Velma R-rated and mature? Okay, that's fine, but make her feel like Velma so the audience can connect to her. Like having her say her catchphrase, Jinkies. I only made it about 4 episodes deep and not one time does she say Jinkies. What the H, guys? All of these character portrayals feel like the Kirkland brand versions of themselves. They're hollow, empty, and far too pretentious for us to want to care about them. Every single one of them is kind of an asshole, and that doesn't make for a fun viewing experience. I think the show will ultimately take these characters to the personas that we know and love them for, but they just want to have a little fun with them first. If that's the case, then I think this show would have really benefited from a flash forward flashback sequence at the very beginning of episode 1. Picture this. We open on the gang, all grown up and acting with the personalities that we know and remember them for. The camera closes in on Velma and she says, Jinkies. You might be wondering how we got here, but to answer that question, I'll have to take you all the way back to the beginning. Then we time jump to the past and we wake up with Velma in her room. And she's no longer sassy in an endearing way, but rather sassy in a who shat in your cereal this morning kind of way. If the show would have briefly shown our characters at the finish line, then the audience would have had an easier time accepting the personality shift of the characters. We would have immediately connected with the property we know and love, and the show would have respectfully garnered the freedom it wants to explore these characters in the manner of their choosing. Instead of feeling resentment towards these characters, we would have felt intrigued because they would have established, hey, we're gonna get to where you want us to get to, but first, let us have a little fun with it. You can take a fictional character and change them to any race, gender, or culture that you want. I think it's really fun to take existing characters in new directions. But if you're going to do that, then the essence of the original character's personality must remain intact in some way, shape, or form, because that is what the audience connects to, and that is what made that character popular in the first place. Mindy Kaling playing Velma works as well as Michael Cera playing Lex Luthor.
The red capes are coming.
I'm sorry, Jesse Eisenberg playing Lex Luthor. It's just too different and the audience can no longer connect with it. Velma would have done better if it was a completely original series with completely original characters. Because when you alter a beloved character so much from their original likeness, it won't matter how hard you try to entertain the audience because you've already lost them.
I am Goku.
On that note, let's discuss Mindy's performance as Velma. I think too much of the real Mindy bleeds through the script rather than the character she's supposed to be acting.
Did you climb in my locker to prove how skinny you are again? Ugh, we get it.
This show just feels like an excuse for Mindy to lash out about the struggles she's had to face in her life. Don't get me wrong, Mindy has had a tough career. Despite her obvious talent for comedy writing, Mindy has really had to fight for her accomplishments. In 2010, she was nominated, along with other writers, for Outstanding Writing in a Comedy Series for The Office, but she almost lost this nomination had she not fought for it. They were going to cut her from the producer list because there were too many producers. From Elle magazine in 2019, Mindy said, "They made me, not any of the other producers, fill out a whole form and write an essay about all my contributions as a writer and a producer. I had to get letters from all the other male white producers saying that I had contributed when my actual record stood for itself." That's pretty messed up, but I'm glad she got the nomination because she definitely deserved it. Being a woman in Hollywood must be difficult enough, but imagine being an Indian woman in Hollywood in 2005 working in comedy. You know, the genre that women get shit on for the most.
If women are so funny, do something funny right now.
Welcome to the flower shop. No.
The fact that Mindy was able to make a name for herself really speaks to her talent as a writer and an actor. And in that regard, I have a lot of respect for Mindy. She's an inspiration for a lot of Indian kids that didn't want to become doctors and engineers, despite their parents' best efforts. Mindy showed us that we have a place in Hollywood too. Aside from having to fight for her career, Mindy has also experienced years of body shaming against her appearance. I had a reckoning where I'm like, people are scrutinizing me, and not only are they scrutinizing me, they're verbalizing their displeasure with how I look because I don't look a certain way. That kind of dissonance has really affected so much of what I write about and the kinds of characters that I play. Being put through this kind of stress can leave a person feeling very undesirable. And I think this feeling of being undesirable caused Mindy to do something really, really dumb in her career. On an episode of Conan O'Brien, Mindy tells a story about how she improvised a kiss with a co-star on the set of The Mindy Project. Improv is an incredible art form that can add a lot to any project when utilized properly. The Office relied heavily on improv, and sometimes these moments were better and more iconic than anything that was ever written or planned. But one thing that can seldom be improvised is intimacy. Scenes that require two actors to be intimate take a lot of planning. Mindy describes how she found her co-star to be very attractive, and in the moment she just went for it. Yikes.
And then I said, tell anyone and you're fired.
Double yikes. But what's the difference here? Both of these kisses were improvised, so what makes one okay and the other not? The answer is context. In The Office, this kiss takes place during an episode called Gay Witch Hunt, in which Michael Scott attempts to show his acceptance for gay people. The setting, subject matter, and Michael Scott's character personality gives everyone in that room enough context that this is exactly the kind of awkward thing this character might do in this situation. Steve Carell improvised here to heighten the awkwardness of the moment, which fits with the character and the story being told. Mindy Kaling's improvised kiss crosses the line because she admits to being attracted to her co-star.
He's so tall and he's so handsome, and I improvised just kissing him in the scene.
This kiss is born out of attraction for the real actor and not the character he's playing, which very much oversteps the bounds of acting. I know it feels like we've gotten off topic here a little bit, but I wanted to mention the good, the bad, and the ugly in regards to Mindy Kaling. As I studied the events of her career and as I sat to watch Velma, I just saw a lot of overlap. Again, to me, this show just feels like an excuse for Mindy to be bitter and lash out at all the things that she struggled with in her life. But we've been here long enough, so let's conclude this bad boy. Is Velma a bad show? Yes. Is it as bad as the internet was making it out to be? Also yes. But to be fair, I only made it 4 episodes in. I would rather drink room temperature uncarbonated soda than sit through 6 more episodes of this show. Sue me. Somehow, this show has been renewed for season 2. I can only hope the team behind Velma has learned a brutal lesson and will do a lot better in the future. But if my intuition about Charlie Grandy being sick of this project is even remotely true, then I do not have the best outlook for what else this show could possibly produce. This show was a fever dream. It feels like it was written by ChatGPT. Only, I asked ChatGPT to write me a mature screenplay about Velma, and it damn near did a better job. In conclusion, humanity is doomed. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Till next time. Thanks for joining us for another video essay. These are so fun to make, so if you're enjoying these video essays from us, sound off in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And also let us know what you thought about the show Velma. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Anyways, these are super fun to make, and thank you for all of your support because we couldn't do it without you. We'll see you on the next one.